do that, let's talk about our favorite superhero, the Batman. I hope everyone knows about Batman. Who has seen all the Batman trilogy by Christopher Nolan? Please raise your hands. Okay, nice. Batman, as we know, was trained by the League of Shadows. He regularly fights with the bad guys, continuously tests himself, and continuously improves himself technically as well as physically. Because of these regular improvements, he was able to take down the League of Shadows and the Joker. But as we see in The Dark Knight Rises, Batman stops building himself. He stops fighting the bad guys, stops testing himself. And when Banes come on the scene, instead of building himself again, testing himself that he can take out Bane, he instead banks upon his prior experience of fighting the bad guy and decides to take over Bane. The result, Bane breaks his back. If Batman had spent some time in the gym like this guy, he might have been able to take over Bane. Let's talk about a more realistic scenario, more real life situation. Suppose you have an app which connects to a DB. If your DB goes down, your app will stop working. To stop this, you set up a slave DB and set up automatic failover. So now if your master server goes down, your slave will kick in and your app will continue working. But are you sure that after 6 months or a year, this failover is going to work? This setup is going to work as expected? Let me share a personal experience with you. We had set up a PostgreSQL DB with master slave configuration. It was working fine for almost few months. One fine evening, I got alert that app wasn't able to connect to the DB. I logged into AWS. Setup was on AWS. Logged into AWS, checked, and the logs said that the failover has happened. Okay, failover happened. App is working fine. All good. Except after 15 to 20 minutes, failover happened again, and this continued for around 3 hours. During these 3 hours, we lost a lot of requests, we lost a lot of traffic. When we dug deeper into the problem, we found out that the DB was clocking around 100%. Now, because it was clocking around 100%, AWS decides to fail over to the slave. After around 15 minutes, now slave also clocks 100, and then AWS fail over back to the master, and this goes around for 3 hours till the traffic dies down. If we had done resilience testing, load testing actually, 1 or 2 weeks before, we would have been able to avoid this situation. Human error. Okay. This is one of our setups. Suppose we have a website www.abc.com. It resolves to an elastic IP. Now we have a load balancer. We have a load balancer master and slave. Now slave, what slave does, it continuously checks if master is working or not. And when master stops working, it dissociates that elastic IP from master and attaches it to the slave. So whenever master goes down, your site won't go down. Now the traffic will go through the slave to your apps. This also worked fine for a few weeks. It saved us a couple of times. One fine evening, our production went down. I logged into this. I saw that master load balancer was down, but the slave was not able to fail over the elastic IP. And when I dug a little deeper, the problem was that the IAM access for the slave DB, which is required for it to dissociate the IP from master and attach it to slave, wasn't there. Someone had removed that IAM access. When I dug a little more deeper, I found out that someone was working on cleaning up the IAM access, and by his fault, he had removed that access. Again, if we had regularly checked this a week or 2 weeks, every 2 weeks, we would have found this error and we would have avoided that downtime. One more thing, I'll give you another example. Nowadays, e-com platform apps, they announce a mega sale every few months. The problem with those sales is if you sit and try to purchase an item, it's harder than booking a ticket on IRCTC in Tatkalas. Only thing, if the companies had done load testing a few days later and provisioned their servers accordingly, they would have avoided this Misha, and the customer would be very, very happy, and the sale would give the benefits as expected. All of these three scenarios, if they had done resilience testing, they would have, we as well as Batman would have been saved from a lot of pain. Now let's look at one of the big consumers, big company which not only invests a lot in resilience testing but has contributed a lot in this field, Netflix. Why does Netflix needs it? Suppose Netflix receives 1 billion requests per month. I think it will receive more than that, and it has 99.7% uptime. There's still 3 million failures per month, and that is not acceptable. One more problem with Netflix is it experiences binge behavior. How many of you have seen House of Cards? Okay. So the problem with Netflix is it releases all the episodes in a season on a single day. So millions of people will tune in to watch that, for example, House of Cards, same day for around 9 to 10 hours. The traffic on this day goes around twice, thrice, or maybe 4 times. Netflix infrastructure has to cover this increased traffic automatically. You can't sit down and today I'm going to release House of Cards, let me increase the number of servers. They do this automatically. Because if they don't do this, if like for example I paid for Netflix and I'm going to watch House of Cards the first day it was released, if I'm not able to do it, I may as well watch it second day from a free source. Most of it will be on torrent or other sites, and Netflix will face a lot of monetary issues if they aren't able to provide a good service. So what do? They have the Simyan Army. The Simyan Army is an automated set of tools which introduce failure into the system so that they can test whether system is able to cope up with unexpected scenarios. There are different type of tools in the Simyan Army which actually create different type of disturbances in their production environment, and they check if their production environment is able to cope up with that. Let's discuss some of the tools. First of all, Security Monkey. Now, you invest a lot of time in creating an app, publicizing the app, but the most important fact that remains is you need to secure your infrastructure. If a hacker gets into your infrastructure, he can do untold damages to your system. I don't know if anyone has heard the story of CodeSpaces. There was a company called CodeSpaces. Someone got access to the console and demanded money. CodeSpaces refused to give them money, and what he does is he deletes all of their EC2 servers, he deletes all of their S3 buckets, he deletes some of their EBS buckets, and he brought down a company to its knees. A budding company, $1 million company, brought down to its knees by one guy. Second is Chaos Monkey. What Chaos Monkey does is it will randomly terminate an instance in your infrastructure. It sounds scary, but suppose you have autoscaling in place. The best thing to test autoscaling will be Chaos Monkey. Suppose you have 30 app servers, Chaos Monkey will go and terminate any one of the app servers. Now you can test that if your infrastructure is able to handle the destruction of one app server, if it's able to handle the traffic, and if self-fails itself to the appropriate position. Third one is Janitor Monkey. What Janitor Monkey does, it cleans up the unused resources in your infrastructure. Suppose if you use AWS, if you have a lot of EBS volumes in your infrastructure that are not being used, Janitor Monkey will track those, will remove or delete them automatically. It will notify you beforehand, but it will save you a lot of cost for the resources which you are not using. The second thing is you can do manual testing. These tools are automated. Netflix uses a lot of automated tools. There is another giant which uses resilience testing very highly. PagerDuty. PagerDuty has something called Failure Fridays. In Failure Fridays, the team comes together they sit in a war room, they inject failures into the system and test the behavior of the system. And through the results of this, they continuously improve their infrastructure, and thus the infrastructure is one of the best, and their uptime is also one of the best. You don't want, if you're depending on PagerDuty and your app went down, you want to be notified upon that of that notification. If PagerDuty uptime is like 97% and of 3% of the notification which have failed is your notification that your app has went down, you will be very pissed off. Okay, enough of the tools. Let's set up a few resilience testing tools in this infrastructure. This is a very basic infrastructure. You have an HA proxy, that is the load balancer. There's the internet connects to the HA proxy connects to the app servers, and app servers connect to the DB. Okay? Let's start adding the tools in this very, very simple infrastructure. First of all, let's add security. Now, this is a very good tool for people in AWS. For other platforms, you can use Security Monkey by Netflix. I personally like this very much. These are the simple steps. In 3 steps, you can configure this. And this is the result. Can you say that? Are you able to say this? People at back. So what it does is, if you run this Scout Security, it will show you the ports which are open to the internet. For example, if your MySQL port is open to the internet, someone may be able to get into the server and hack it. So it will tell you what all ports are open to the internet, so you can change that according to your need. You can try and minimize the ports which are open to internet, and in this way you can minimize the amount, the points of failure in your system. Second thing, again, IAM dashboard. This tells you that what is the access level for all the users. If you are supposed to use multi-factor authorization for your console, if you should actively rotate your keys and etc. Other thing we can add is Chaos Monkey. If you have auto scaling in your setup, this is the best tool to test the auto scaling. If Chaos Monkey destroys an instance, let's suppose at 12 p.m. at night, your system should be able to get over it and get back to normal position. Third is failovers. We have implemented 2 failovers of here, HA proxy master slave and DB master slave. You need to continuously test these setups. As I have given example, both of these setups were working fine at one stage and they failed. So every 1 or 2 weeks you stop the HA proxy master server and test if it is able to move to the slave. Of course, you do this when your traffic is less so that you don't get affected. Fourth thing is you do load testing. This is one of the primary things. For example, most of us do load testing when we are going to production. Before we go to production, we do load testing so that we can configure our infrastructure according to that. But once we go to production, we stop doing load testing. For example, after 6 months, the traffic will be very, very different than what you have set up earlier. If you do regular load testing, you will be able to regularly get more information what is the weakness in my infrastructure and correct it. And that's it. Benefits of resilience testing. You have improved security. You continuously face failures and you are able to improve it. You proactively discover deficiency and are able to avoid disasters. So in the end, I can say that failovers are inevitable. What setup you have done today will face a different environment, both external and internal, after 6 months or 1 year of time. You need to regularly test your infrastructure, regularly discover the deficiencies in the infrastructure and correct them. That's it.
I just wanted to understand that you were telling about the scenario that we have configured the master slaves and everything, and we tested. You didn't test it about the traffic and all the things, so failover happened. Do we have any kind of we can think about any automation that whenever there is a master slave, we have a heavy traffic, or this kind of scenario is happening? So how we can introduce that kind of scenario into the testing environment? Like we had this one for Chaos Monkey for
Testing autoscaling. Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, Chaos Monkey for testing autoscaling.
Yes. So we have anything for testing these kind of thing?
For you can simulate an environment, you can bombard your infrastructure with traffic. People use, like, there's a software called Siege that is used very often to simulate multiple users who are bombarding your infrastructure with requests at the same time. And when you generate that traffic, you do load testing, and when you do load testing, you test whether your app servers are enough for this type of load. Your DB is able to cope up with that infrastructure, that type of thing. So generating load, you can search. Siege is a very popular tool. I have personally used it very.
Thank you.
So you were talking about Chaos Monkey. So what kind of failures does it include? Like, it's basically turning off the app instance or something?
It will destroy the app instances.
Okay. So only limited to that.
Terminate your server.
Okay.
You're left if you're 10 servers, you're left with 9 servers. If you want 2 terminations, it will left you with 8 servers. Now infrastructure has to cope up with those 8 servers and add 2 more servers in that span to cope up with the traffic.
Okay, I see.
No, these are supposed to run in production.
Once that test is over, maybe or you will explore them with very request and then face the
Like about Chaos Monkey, we have, like, for example, I had autoscaling in place in my infrastructure. I configured Chaos Monkey to terminate an instance every 3 days. So it will go and terminate an instance. It will give me a notification. I'll check whether my app was able to cope up with that change. And so that's why Chaos Monkey is the perfect test for autoscaling. It will randomly terminate your instance. Your autoscaling should check that, yeah, my instance count is less, my traffic is more, I should launch an instance. Yeah. Chaos Monkey, like all the tools I have mentioned, they are for all the platforms. You can use it anywhere. Except for that Scout, that is for AWS, but you can use Security Monkey by Netflix for that. Anyone else? You wanted to ask a question.
Somewhere between resiliency testing and capacity planning.
Okay.
So what I want to understand is there any protocol or any kind of software suite that one can follow to understand what kind of load testing to actually do? I'm talking not exactly how. I'm not talking about the software, but like how much. So for example, if I have a customer who wants to move their infrastructure and the related apps into some kind of a public cloud infrastructure. So where do we begin understanding what kind of loads to test it out on? Is there anything I can give to the customer, some kind of a monitoring tool or something that just understands what kind of load their applications typically undergo and how that can get translated to the infrastructure?
User only. So you make a strategy that this number of users will be using my infrastructure and this amount of requests, whether small or large, are going, and then you plan to test your infrastructure with this kind of load.
So in their existing deployment within their own premises, so for example, what could I use to gather some metadata on this kind of data? In their production system, how many users they're using, how many requests per second their say server is serving. Is there anything like that I can use to kind of gain data on this?
So, the amount of users that are currently using.
Amount of users is sort of simple in the sense it's more data,
a
but
lot of information can be traced at the load balancer level. The number of requests per second, the failed request, that can be at that point of time. The number of users currently logged at that point, you need to get that metric from DB. You can combine all this into beautiful dashboards and look at that. We use that Datadog for that. Datadog has very beautiful dashboards.
Okay.
We combine metrics from our infrastructure plus we combine metrics from DB and point them to dashboards in Datadog. We continuously monitor them and then we plan our infrastructure accordingly.
I see.
So you need to monitor your infrastructure for some time before you start load testing or before you start provisioning for your cluster.
Great, thank you.
specifically look for? Like, can you list? I mean,
See,
do you know what I'm talking
for example, internet for somebody from someone from outside to connect to your infrastructure. We as an infrastructure company restrict that public access to very, very few servers. Only the load balancer has access to only to load balancer can have people have access. Rest everything is on private cloud and you connect through OpenVPN server. If you restrict that, the chances of you getting hacked or bombarded by someone else goes very low. For IAM users, for example, the console access, you can add multi-factor authorization. First you enter the password, then you add either use Google Authenticator or something like that to add an extra code. So this way, even if your credentials are lost, he won't be able to log in because he does not have the Google Authentication code. So these are some of the steps that you can add to ensure that your infrastructure is secure and someone else is not able to hack into it. Then app level security, you need to maintain that.
Wait, it's more of than infrastructure level security, right?
Yeah. So that infrastructure, and like the vulnerability of an infrastructure is the ports open to public. That is the only vulnerability. And if you reduce that, we will have like removed a lot of vulnerability from infrastructure. So only port opens to the internet should be the load balancer, that's your proxy, etc., which needs to be connected from outside. That's it.
Thank you.